Define wealth as your ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. In order to do that, you need health, you need relationships. In order to move around effectively, you need money, your finances need to be secure, your mind needs to be in check. It doesn't matter if you're healthy physically and have a ton of money if your mind is completely fucked, right? I know a ton of, dude, look at all the celebrities, look at all the actresses and actors that kill themselves. They have money, they have fame, they have good physiques, they look nice, they have all this shit, but their mind is corrupted. So the goal to be wealthy is your mind needs to be healthy. Your body needs to be healthy. Your bank account needs to be healthy. Wealth, by definition, is abundance. So what is abundance? Making sure that everything in life is properly set up. You don't want to have an abundant bank account and an empty mind. You don't want to have a destroyed body or destroyed relationships and have $1 billion. Every billionaire that I've talked to, I think a total, it's been like 6, everybody tells me the 2 most important things in their life right now is lifespan longevity, biohacking, like how do I increase my life, and how do I spend more time with the people that I love. But they understood that in order to maximize health and relationships, they needed money. So they got the bag, but they didn't let the bag identify them. And once they got the bag, they shifted their priorities. The problem is people don't know how to reinvent themselves. I reinvented myself multiple times. People confine you to a box. First, they were like, Luke is the e-com guy. Did fucking millions and millions and millions of dollars in e-commerce. Went and did consulting, but no, he's the e-com guy. I'm whatever the fuck I want to be.
I was the NFT guy.
There you go. So you're in a situation right now where people are going to always try to box you up and limit you. But if your mind can be freed, your mind can be limitless.
Guess how I got here to this point now. And it's interesting because I still live at my parents' house. You probably would believe I'm broke, and I don't even blame you for that. But if you've found me to be a truthful man, the years that you've watched me, understand when I tell you that if you visualize a doctor or a soon-to-be doctor, he's a young man and he's studying 10 hours a day in medical school, and he graduated, like, you know, year after year after year, he's studying, and then he gets his doctorate degree, and then he works as like this junior doctor for 5 years, 10 years, then now he's 35, then he works even more, he gets married, and then he's 40 something and he's become really successful. Then he opens up his own clinic, which is what like a lot of like the best sort of doctors and professionals do. They open up their own clinic and they make even more money. Imagine that guy who's worked for 20 years for this. Imagine 100 doctors do that exact same thing. All of them put together still make less money than I do. How did I get here? I convinced myself that I would have children in a few years, and I will make a crazy, stupid amount of money that majority of people will just simply not believe. It was with the thought that I'd probably have children within a few years. That's when I started.
Dude, fast onboarding, bro. When I have my products, there's no fucking onboarding. Look at my fucking apps. My last app, the onboarding was enter your Instagram username. No password, no email, no phone number, nothing. I tell every founder, you know how much Twilio fucking costs? Those texts, you get enter the code, but dude, it's so much money at scale. My buddy sold his company Discord. His biggest expense, he was spending like mid 5 figures, maybe low 6 figures a month. The little text, enter the code. You don't need that shit. Why do you need the phone number? Why do you need the email?
You don't. You're not going to use it.
Dude, iCloud stores your login, bro.
Yeah, you're not going to use it.
All of you delete an app, re-download it. You'll be automatically logged in.
Dude, I literally click one button and I'm inside. I'm already in the app.
You don't have them think, bro. You do one action, you get them right in, bro. And then you have like big red
your app
buttons.
text is amazing. It's just like you want. It's like dopamine hit. NGL.
Dude, it's all science, man. I did this for 5 years. I was 18 when I started, bro. I was clueless. All science. You need to understand the way the brain works.
Setting up triggers for people to react to.
Well, you know what it is? It's you create the problem.
Yeah.
Right? We know this. We know this model, right? You know, like how our world is run. You create the problem and you create the solution and you make it very easy to solve the problem. So you do both things.
And you make it difficult for everybody else to solve the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
And you say that everybody else is discredited to solve the problem except you. Because you've been solving the problem from the beginning.
dude, it's the same game, bro. Just played at different fucking levels. That's it. Right? Are you playing it on like a huge? Are you moving markets, bro? Are you selling e-com products? Are you building apps? It's the same fucking game.
I mean, you're just dealing with people, and that's why when I wrote the anthropology of consumerism, so the study of consumerism, and product research methodology, because I had a success rate when I was doing e-commerce of 1 in 4. So 1 in 4 products that I picked were 6-figure net profit products. How? I wasn't looking for winning products. I was looking for winning audiences.
Bro, that's the key, dude. That's the key.
Spit, bro.
Dude, here's what it comes down to, bro. The product is second. It's the fucking market. It's who you identify with. Like, if I'm gonna sell,
Tell 'em, bro.
If I'm gonna sell to, for example, like what you do, bro, you selling like baby products. Like I sell to teenagers. I'm gonna first select the fucking market, and I'm gonna make sure that I understand the market. I understand how do they talk. What do they say? What's their lexicon? What are the phrases they're using? How do I incorporate that into the branding, into the product? Bro, all my apps, bro, are so trendy, bro. We use words that our demographic understands. Like the term MGL. Every fucking teenager knew what that word was.
And every person up to probably 25.
Every single person, bro. And we had a different name in the beginning, but I realized people weren't finding the app because it didn't sound like anything they understood. It wasn't a name.
It's not inside their realm of reality.
Exactly.
You need to be able to pull from what they know.
Yes. Bro, I will have literally pop-ups in app, and rather than saying continue, it'll be like, I bet. Like, imagine an app comes to you, asks you to do something, and you tap continue, and it says bet. Imagine it says thanks, G. Bro, they're like 16 years old. They're like, wait, is this my buddy? And then you're like, hey, give us some money. We'll give you something. They trust you automatically, bro. That's
genius.
dude, I'm telling you, bro, you have to. And
Bro,
that's like,
toss me some coin, I got you.
literally, that's the game, bro. You need
So
to
good,
talk, you
bro.
talk, you act. You think like your fucking audience, and you sell to them. It's so easy.
So if you've heard of the term purpose before, it seems a bit vague, doesn't it? What I would do before you really understand purpose, just simply change the word to mission. You need a mission. You need like one of those, like, it's like a North Star, like a big goal that is so important for you. So what could be your mission? It could be, for example, to get an awesome degree. Most degrees aren't worth it. We all know that. We know that university is largely a scam, but there are a good handful of degrees which are very, very high quality, right? Some degrees you absolutely need to get into the job that you want. So maybe it could be, okay, to get the degree that you need. Maybe it could be to start building up this successful business. Maybe it's to, make some friends, because you don't really have that right now, and we need a tribe around us. We need like this mission, this purpose, this reason for why we're waking up. Now, purpose seems like such a vague concept up until you literally just break down what the word means, purpose. What's the purpose? Purpose is kind of like the why, the because of everything that you do. And we can get very spiritual here. I'm going to give you like a little bit of the spirituality, which I know it's probably going to be confusing, but it's just going to plant some things into your brain which will be helpful. So purpose is entirely spiritual, and most guys have never even opened up like their spiritual life. I may be level 2 in this area, and it goes up to level 10,000. So there's a lot of progress to be made. But I can tell you something from my own perspective. We were born on this earth to give something. It's almost like we're supposed to be martyrs, sacrifices. And each man has his individual gift that is covered in so much bullshit, in propaganda, in narrative that we've heard from teachers and parents and everything else. But each man was born a boy with this specific gift, this truth, this real thing that his life should have been centered around. And with your parents' conditioning, when they said, oh, you're going to grow up to be such an amazing fireman, and this, and this, and then you watch those Hollywood movies for all of your life, it's got covered with so much stuff that we don't even know what our core purpose is anymore. The why of our life, the because of our life. And so if you want to find your purpose and your mission, you can set a mission right now, and it's like a real world mission of like, yeah, like, go to university and make some friends and maybe get some girls. And that can still give you some direction, which is nice. But if you really want to find your purpose in like the most spiritual way, turn everything off. None of your peers, like all the guys your age, will never do this. Turn everything off. Literally grab your phone and fully turn it off. Your laptop, your computer, fully turn it off. Sit in a room where there's no electronics on, where there's nothing to do. There's no distractions. And I promise you, sit here for 6 hours. Just get bored as fuck. Literally just sit here and just kind of like sit around, look at your walls, bored. that will be some of the most valuable time of your life, I promise you. How many guys do you actually think have done this in this modern day? Be honest. How many guys have actually done this? Of the entire, like, you know, of our entire country of 60 million people, 300 million people, how many guys have done this? Maybe a handful, maybe the guys in prison. And even then, they still distract themselves. Even then, they still have phones in there. Most people distract themselves, and so you never see the truth of your core. And this was me. Like, I lived my entire life not really having this clear purpose, this mission. And so I just kind of did what I thought I was supposed to do. Go to university. Okay, it's time to get like a job now. Oh no, I don't like jobs. It's time to start business now. And all these things are shallow. All these things are shallow because they don't come from the real place core inside of you. And it was only in 2020 when I moved back to my parents' home in my bedroom that I grew up in as a kid, that I started to detach away from a lot of technology and to just sit with some negativity, some discomfort. If you imagine this right now, imagine if you just started to spend some time, like minutes, hours a day, doing nothing, not even trying to think about stuff. Literally just like being bored, looking at your wall, no YouTube videos playing, no music or no fucking lo-fi beats to study / find your purpose to. Literally just sat there. You can do this, right? It seems easy, and it seems easy. It seems like this is one of those steps of this video that you may as well skip, right? It seems easy. I bet you wouldn't even do it. I bet you're not even like strong enough to do this. Because when you try, after about 3 minutes, 99.9% of guys will give up. Because 99.9% of guys are quite mediocre. But the 0.1% of men, they're the ones who actually go on to like change the world. And every single one of these strong leaders, these men that change the world, that help their tribe, that become ultra successful, we're talking hundreds of millions, billions, every single one of them are great thinkers. And that comes from some periods where you are supposed to find your purpose and you just sit and think. In the modern day, we don't do this. We don't take time to think. It's seen as weird. But if there's one thing you could take from me so far, take some time to think about your purpose. Think about the reason why you're doing anything at all. And there's going to be a particular moment where you'll fall through the bullshit that you've been covering your life in. And you'll start to ask the kind of questions that your family and your friends will think that you're crazy for. But I won't. And men like us won't. And number 2, the second life lesson is to believe in yourself. Now this sounds very clickbait and cliche. I always waited for permission. I don't know if you've had a similar like upbringing to me, but I'm the youngest sibling. I have an older brother who's 2 years older. And so it was either with him or with my father. They had to like give me permission to do anything in life when I was growing up. Literally as much as what items I would buy on RuneScape. So me and my brother both played this game called RuneScape. It's kind of like World of Warcraft if you played it. And on it, you know, you have your character, you have like the levels you can get up, and you have like gold that you've accumulated. It's like one of those games that, you know, you can play for like 10 years, you have the same character, right? And after years, I saved up like 600k in gold, which isn't a lot, but I wasn't very good at the game, but I saved like 600k. And I always wanted to get this one shield, which was like a Zamorak shield, right? Zamorak kite shield. And I always liked it. I always wanted to get it. And I kept on mentioning it, but my brother kept on like shouting and saying, no, it's stupid. You should, like, you know, he's being aggressive towards me when I would always mention it. And then one day, like, I literally got like, you know, like, oh, it's my money anyway. It's my account. Like, I'm just going to do it anyway. And I bought it. And I remember, like, it's almost like I sat there awkwardly thinking, like, I needed my brother's validation to keep it. And so I awkwardly mentioned it to him. I got the Zamorak kite shield. And he goes, no, well, you're stupid. You stupid idiot. Like, my family's... I'm getting pissed off even just telling this story, to be honest. But my family's very, like, traumatized and abused and shit. So obviously his response is a bit fucked. But yeah, he's literally, like, swearing at me saying, you're a stupid... Like, with this... I'm still resentful for that shit, bro. I'm a little fucking kid. And let me just buy my fucking Zamorak kite shield. But yeah, he's fully abusive towards me. And he literally, like, pushes me to sit down and to sell it again. So, and this is just one instance, right? This is like, imagine this level of control that I've had on me from the items I can buy on a video game. And so imagine for the rest of my life, when I'm making bigger decisions, should I go to university? What topic should I study? Should I move out to university? And imagine having people like this. My dad was kind of like this, but a lot more like physically abusive. So I didn't really have like the kind of support system that you know, like the perfect father and perfect big brother would say. You know, if a little us went up to them and asked them, wait, should I do this thing? What's the best response your father or your brother could have ever given to you? When you go up to them and say, wait, should I do this? They'll sit there for a few seconds and say, what do you think? There's power in that question. What do you think? If you were going to pay me to do like a coaching session and you asked me a good question of like, wait, should I do this thing? I would hope that I was aware enough of you know, the strategies to coach someone that I wouldn't just tell you the answer. Because if I told you the answer, you'd just believe in me, right? I want you to believe in yourself, and so I'd ask you, what do you think? And so the next time you have some decision to make, whether it's small or big, just ask yourself that question, what do you genuinely think? And here's the thing, right? You might be slightly more successful at the things you do if you just follow what your father or your brother does, especially if you want to be just like them. Now, if you don't want to be just like them, you probably shouldn't take their advice, especially if they're not even that rich or successful, right? If your like father's a full-on multi-millionaire, okay, maybe it's actually really worth seeking his guidance. If your brother's a top-level athlete, okay, sweet. But if they're not actually that successful, you should just be wary. It sounds offensive, but it's not from my words, but it's from the words of Alex Hormozi, one of the, I believe, one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time. And he has this like phrase, which is that if you want to make sure that you won't become rich, take advice from poor people. And I could say the same thing, like take advice from fat people, from slightly unfit people if you want to make sure that you don't become an athlete. Believe in yourself. So the next time you've got some decisions to make, which is going to be very soon, because sometimes they're not very big decisions. Sometimes it's literally just what should you eat? Which one of these things should you buy? It would be so much easier for you if you had your brother or your dad to stand there and say, wait, how about this? Or no, this one. But the more decisions that you take, the more that your brain will develop. You see, everything we do causes like, you know, the neurons and stuff in our brains to like connect together. They connect the dots. And that's how we learn. And we don't want to take that process away. We want to learn and make our decisions ourselves. And of course, we still want guidance. We still want to ask our brother, like, what would you do in this situation? Okay, that's what my brother would do. What would my father do? Then we read some books of some guys that we like. What would they do? Then maybe we research some guys that we like and we look at their podcasts or something. What would they do in this situation? Okay, now you've got like a tribe of mentors who are giving you all their opinions, and then you make the decision because you start to believe in yourself. Because either one, you believe in yourself because you already are capable, which isn't likely if you're watching a video like this. But two, you should believe in yourself because the way that you become capable is by believing in yourself. If you're always waiting for daddy to answer your questions, you're not going to become that capable kind of guy, and you'll never be able to believe in yourself. You need to be okay as a young man to make some wrong decisions. It's going to be okay. Some people in our lives have acted towards us that if we make the wrong decision, that it's catastrophic, that it's such a problem, that, you know, school has taught us this to be safe, haven't they? They've taught us that we should study so much, and that if you get a bad grade, it's like, oh man, like, you know, I've fucked up, I've made a mistake, I'm a failure. But in the real world, the most successful guys, guess what? They're all failures. I failed 7 businesses before this one, and now I make more money than all of your school teachers put together, then doubled, and maybe still doubled after that. And I failed more times than I can count. Believe in yourself.
Many people have their parents stun them, and their growth is stunted because their parents have fear of, oh, my son or my daughter are gonna get hurt, or they're gonna end up in trouble. Or completely the other side, they just hate success. They think that all rich people are bad people, or they think that money's bad, when in reality, they're just ignorant. So now I was in a situation where I realized my parents' advice with regards to how to live an ideal life was not cut out for me. Why?
Not because their advice wasn't applicable, but because I did not want to live the life that they had. And the life that they had was based off of the information that they knew. And therefore, the information that they knew was filtered through, and their advice came only from the information that they have. So if their life isn't amazing, and the information that they have isn't amazing, then most likely their advice isn't amazing either. So I was like, fuck what my parents think. And I know it sounds insane. Like people go, oh, Luke, you're disrespectful to your parents.
Yes.
Brother, your parents won't feel disrespected when you retire them, sit them in a nice little Ferrari in Monaco with the entire family gathered around the table overlooking the coast, and all your parents are happy there sipping their nice little Italian wine, seeing all the grandchildren running around. You won't hear them
You're not
bitching
gonna question.
you won't hear them bitching and complaining at that point. But what you're gonna have to go through is a season of echo chamber of negativity. You can't do this, you shouldn't do this, you should be worried. Why? Because they've been conditioned.
I think we need to make working hard cool again. I think it's fucking awesome when I speak to a young guy and he tells me he's working hard on something. Even if he's not even getting results right now. Even if he's unsure of the direction. You know, if you don't even know the direction that you want to go in, the faster way to find out what to do with your life is to start fucking running down one pathway at least to see if you like this path. So we're so scared to, to work hard. We're so scared to make decisions of which direction to go. Well, you can find that out by actually like putting in the effort. The volume is really important. Young people today, young men, we don't know what hard work actually is. And it takes a few years to develop that. It's very valuable. This is something for you, I'm telling you right now. If you want to be successful, if you want to feel masculine, if you want to provide for your future family, you're not going to get there by simply working smart. I promise you. It takes an incredible level of luck and the right timing and skill and support to work smart and get successful from that. And even if you get the best case scenario like I did, like I got literally everything you could want. I worked smart. I didn't even work that hard. To be fair, I did. Even then, no, you know what? I worked smart, but I worked smart in like a hard way, for the first like year or so. Because I still didn't play any video games. I didn't do any bad habits for like a year and a half. Imagine that. I did no bad habits. I didn't watch porn, play video games, take drugs, eat junk food or anything, go on social media. I didn't watch a single movie or anything for over a year and a half. So sure, my hours of work was quite low, but like my brain was very healthy, and there was a lot of hard work involved with that sacrifice that I made.
As we're walking here in Lake Geneva, I spot quite an interesting building known as Palais Wilson. Palais Wilson named after President Woodrow Wilson, who was the guy that passed the Federal Reserve Act in 1913 that privatized money, and money no longer became of the people as a means of exchange, but money became debt. And it became debt on a fractional reserve basis. But in 1913, what happened was that the dollar, because of constitutional rights, was still backed by gold. But what happened with fractional reserve banking is they started fractionalizing the gold reserves, and they started printing the receipts for that gold in multiples. So what happened? The British came and the French came, and they started redeeming the paper for gold up until the point where there was no gold left and there was paper. At that point, basically we had to go off the gold standard. But winding it back to 1913 with Woodrow Wilson, he did something quite interesting. What he did was build an entire philosophy behind the Constitution of the United States. And that philosophy was a very simple one, that the Constitution operated under Darwinian theory, which basically meant that the Constitution of the United States operated as a living organism, which meant what? It needed to adapt and evolve with the times. So he did not believe that people had natural rights, that they had God-given rights, but that their government rights were given to them by the times, and that their governments changed based off of what was good for the people. So it's really interesting because Woodrow Wilson was probably one of the worst presidents in American history, and it's funny that he is commemorated in what is now known as the headquarters of the High Commissioner of Human Rights of the United Nations, previously known as the League of Nations, which Woodrow Wilson was one of the key figures to help establish. Therefore, obviously we're here in Switzerland, in the globalist capital of the world, and we have honoring the guy that made sure that America got fucked.
He doesn't know. He's like, what is that? That's arm around. Whoa! Chill out. They're like, what is this? I've never seen abs.
when you biohack.
When you're hustling for money, what's the mentality? I gotta survive. I gotta take the scraps. It's me against the world. But that mindset can't apply when you're trying to build a multi-billion-dollar business. You need to start thinking like a boss. It's no longer hustle plays, you're thinking long-term generational kingdom style wealth. So this idea of like your brother's not eating or the people around you not being able to secure a bag because you're so hungry that you need a bag, it's a false mentality. And I see this all the entrepreneurs that have had some sort of money come up, not all of them, but a lot of them haven't been able to shift their mindset from hustle to boss. So they lose all the business partners that are high quality business partners. They lose all the employees that are long-term legacy employees. Why? Because you're thinking about the quick cash. Once you make your bag, dude, your mindset has to change from hustle to boss. That means it's no longer about how much money can you make, but how much money can you make your people.
There's a difference between self-employed and entrepreneur. Self-employed is if you walk away, your business dies. It's not a business. True entrepreneur, you walk away and your business is still running. And that's what Elon Musk does best. Built up, Tesla, walked away, SpaceX, walked away, Twitter, same idea, right? He just puts the people in the right places to win, and then now you can focus on the right things and do game-changing moves.
It's like the Bible says, without vision, people perish. You need to have somebody that casts a vision and somebody that fulfills that vision. People need to buy into a vision. A lot of people are walking around with no vision, and you see a lot of employees that are depressed and like they don't have any purpose in the organization. That's the fault of the top. That's not the fault of the below-level employee. That's the fault of the person that understands and manages the culture and the tempo of the team.
It's very interesting. They studied Amish families, and they realized that Amish people have almost no illnesses. They have almost no depression. They have almost no issues at all that all these current societies have. And why do they have that? Because they all believe and they cherish family. They cherish connection, relationships. They marry who they know. They have these practices that now they're flourishing. They're super happy. They're not depressed.
Dude, you remember the first day you made your first $1 million liquid cash? Nothing changes. Sure, now you have a little bit more money. Sure, you can get a nicer place. Sure, you can eat at any restaurant you want. But fundamentally, deep down, like there is no shift as a person that day to the next day. What would you do, ladies and gentlemen, if you couldn't fail? What would you do if you were in a situation where your mind couldn't comprehend an outcome in which you lost? Who would you become? What would you do? What type of person would be bred from that willpower and that self-belief and that confidence? Because it all starts here. The Bible says it. As a man thinketh, so is he. So what do you say about yourself? Who are you? How do you speak to who you are and the goals and the ambitions that you have in your life? You know what I mean? So when you see the goals and ambitions and dreams and aspirations that you have, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a multimillionaire. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be healthy and have a nice home and take care of your family. But the system will tell you, you have to work, you have to be an employee. When you realize that the way to make money, the way to liberate yourself isn't through the ways of the system. It's not through a 9-to-5. It's through self-development. It's through the understanding of the game. It's through understanding how the system works and understanding how to exploit the system to your advantage, because there's loopholes that were created intentionally by people that created the rules of the system that you abide by. So ladies and gentlemen, if failure was not an option and you couldn't fail and money wasn't an obstacle and money wasn't real, what would you do? Who would you become? What would be bred out of that desire for greatness? I don't know about you, but in my book, in my opinion, I can't lose, because losing is something that is designed for people that quit and for people that fail. I don't fail. I learn. I reevaluate. I analyze. I cross-examine. I fine-tune. I refine my craft. Maybe not now in my mid-20s, but in my 40s, in my 50s, in my 60s, in my 70s, in my 80s, in my 100s, I will have refined my craft, because it's a process of self-development. So if you couldn't fail because failure is not an option, because failure isn't real, who would you become? Who would you be? Who's holding you back? Who's telling you you can't? You? Or is it the programming inside of you? Maybe it ain't you. So ladies and gentlemen, get woke. Get positive. The world is yours for the taking.